I'm all ready to
Just
go.
haven't seen you in a while, John.
Dude, life has been crazy, I'll tell you that. As you can see, I'm in a new room. So I'm planning on designing this whole back wall and making this my studio. So it's going to look pretty awesome. But yeah, man. I mean, I think I told Scott December I worked literally 31 days straight, probably over 40 days straight because I got the 30 hours of rest on the road in hotels. So yeah, it's been crazy, man. But thanks for doing the pod with him last time, and yeah, I'm super
Yeah.
stoked, dude. I see we got Hugh. What's up, dude? How are you?
Same old, same old.
Cool, man. Well, how do you guys know each other, everyone?
Man, I met Connor. I was at my favorite water. It's one of my favorites. I still tell this story to this day to like
I do
new
too.
new FOs I pick up or people want to come fly with me. I was at my local watering hole here in Tyler, and Connor was a valet there. It was COVID had just like really wrecked the aviation industry for the first 6 months, and he was a valet there. But I didn't valet my truck. I just parked in the back of the restaurant and walked through the back to the bar. And I was sitting at the bar, and he walks up and gives me a piece of paper with his number on it. And he goes, "Hey, man, somebody told me you're a pilot and you fly a lot. If you ever need a pilot, introduce himself. Hey, he's a man, I'm out of work." I'm like, "Cool, man." And I took a picture of it and I tossed the paper. That's my thing. If somebody gives me a business card, take a picture, toss it, because it's going to end up in my washing machine and my wife is going to kill me. Like 2 weeks later, I got a contract to move like 20 some odd airplanes.
Wow, that's a lot.
They were all owned by one guy that had these airplanes leased out to flight schools across the country, mainly for the European and the Chinese to fly. Well, they all went home, so these airplanes were sitting. So I got a contract to move these when I tell you clapped out King Airs. And there's a couple, there's a
90s?
Cheyenne, there were some Comanches in there. So I got a contract to move all these airplanes. And I moved the first one, and like the time frame I had, I was like, man, I can't do this by myself. So I go through my phone, and the first number I pull up is Connor. I was like, "Hey, you'll fly?" And what I was doing, I had the local broker whose office I'm sitting in right now. Well, his logbook room, really. He had a Piper Apache, which is just a trash airplane, but it was a nice specimen of a trash airplane. So Connor would fly me to go get an airplane, and he would fly back. So we did
Nice.
that a bunch, just like chasing these airplanes all over the countryside, picking them up and taking them to Virginia. And we just started flying together, and friendship came out of it. And we kind of live in the same area too, which I hadn't seen his ass since he got up on a table at walk-ons in my face, screaming at me, "You need to go 121," as he was freshly laid off from Spirit. Bro,
I was drunk as shit.
Yeah,
he was-
clearly.
I'm sure.
He was on one that night.
Yeah, but no, me and Hugh, we've flown all over the place together. I've known Hugh now. We've been buddies for at least 5 years since COVID, and we think the same, we act the same, and we get out and we used to get after it. Not so much anymore, but man,
We're old
those
men now.
3 years there, it was like every day.
Wow,
That's awesome.
the glory days.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Glory days.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Autopilot on podcast. First podcast of 2026. Glad we got to start off strong here. Hope everybody had a good holiday. And hope Santa brought you all the presents you wanted. So we got John back co-hosting, and then we got Connor and a new guest. We have Hugh. Welcome aboard, Hugh.
Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Hugh, tell us a little bit about you and your aviation background.
I'm the only person in my family that does it, believe it or not. I grew up in a little country in Central America called Belize. Moved to the States in 2010 to go to school, not necessarily flight school, but just to come to university. I went to a little Bible college in South Florida, and majored in intercultural communications, one of the most useless degrees you'll ever find. And then I started flying because the college had a little flight program, all Part 61, one instructor, one airplane. At the time, there was only one airplane. So I started doing that, and that was kind of it for me. What really got me onto it, my family doctor back at home was a retired Air Force doctor. And he had a couple airplanes, and he got me into building, these home built kit planes. Because I
Oh,
graduated high school at 12. I was in college at 15. And so I just had some years not doing much. My parents ran a little school for underprivileged kids. So I'd help out at the school in the morning. And then I'd ride my bicycle to this guy's shop and we'd build these kit planes. So we built a couple of them, and that really got the fire. I was like, dude, this is it. I want to do this. This is awesome. And so when I moved to the States, I started taking flight lessons, and that was kind of it. And my instructor he's still an instructor. I just had lunch with him 2 weeks ago. I was flying a trip back from the Bahamas, and I stopped to clear customs, and he's on that field. So I said, hey, come have lunch with me. So we went and had lunch, and I think he was pretty instrumental in my path as like a corporate 91 guy. Cause that was him. He was just, no interest in the airlines. All he wanted to be was a flight instructor. And he was I ran through most of my ratings with him except, multi-commercial, I think. Never did the CFI thing. Lucky for me. I just started doing contracting and ferry
me too.
work, right? 250 hours. Uh, you know, I've always been good with networking. So I've flown everything from DC-3s on down, uh, just bumming it 91.
91 cowboy.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm still 91. I run a flight department for an oil and gas company. We got 2 airplanes, a twin Cessna and a Citation jet. And this is my 3rd flight department I've ran. It's kind of my story in aviation.
Great. We
91's
haven't
the
had it.
best way to do it.
Yeah.
And I used to manage a few airplanes. I've kind of given up them. I'd rather just fly them now. It's a lot easier. But
Yeah, I managed a couple airplanes for a while. It's a lot of work.
yeah, I'd just rather
Yeah.
show up, light the fires, and go.
That's right. That's right.
Walk away when you're done.
How do you go from the start of your career to where you are now, though? Because I know that that was a nice highlight of everything, but it for an average listener, like kind of trying to do that same path, how do you get to where you started to making these relationships and getting to kind of that final place of where you are now? Because I know that's constantly evolving, and it's so different than the traditional 121 path or even just a corporate pilot path. So I know that's kind of the wild, wild west of flying, like you guys said. So how do you get to that, like making those relationships and doing that kind of stuff?
Man, just like typically I hate people. I'm
Yeah.
usually antisocial.
Okay.
But I think all of us pilots have a touch of autism, just a
I
little
do not
bit.
disagree.
And so if you see an airplane on the ramp that interests you, 9.5 times out of 10, you can get that pilot to talk about that airplane. Right.
Or
And then
Yeah.
you
talking about a
roll
hot
that.
girlfriend or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
everyone's always
you
going to
could roll
flex
that
their shit.
into, hey, are you there permanent? No. You a contractor? Yeah. How can I do what you do? You just got to be good with talking to people, right? And getting people to like you, because there were some airplanes I had from the FAA standpoint, I was legal to fly, but from an insurance standpoint, I would never be insurable. But now as a operator of a flight department, I just set the rules to my insurance company. If they want this, I'll say, hey, this is what you're going to get, and you're going to insure the airplane. I don't care what I have to pay for it. It's just good with people. There's a lot of hard work involved in the 91 side, and being willing to take stuff that other people won't fly, whether it's because I don't encourage flying poorly maintained airplane, but being willing to look at the MEL, which most of these airplanes have, or kinds of equipment list, and saying, hey, if something is inoperable for today, can we make this happen? Right. While still keeping it safe. And don't get greedy with it. Like, I see a lot of these new contract pilots, they've got, I was just talking to a guy yesterday. He's got 1,500 hours. So he's in shoveling the King Airs, but he's got zero turbine time. He went to King Air school, got done with that. And he calls me up. He goes, "Hey man, somebody gave me your number because, they say you fly a lot of King Airs." And I do. I fly too many of them right now. And, I go,
There's never
"Okay."
too many King Airs.
Yeah. He go, "Man, what's your day rate?" He goes, "Man, I want $1,500 a day." I was like, "Goodbye."
See ya.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when I started contracting, the day rate was $250 a day, right? COVID was what really brought the contract day rate to what it is today. Because like
Yeah.
pre-COVID, PIC and a King Air 200 was $850,
Yep.
and you were struggling to get $850. There were guys
Yep.
at $500-$600 that most of these owners would go to because there was a cheaper guy. Like it wasn't until maybe like a year into COVID that the contract day rates kind of stabilized at $1,000. I like $1,000, and I mean Connor and I, we did trips for $250 a day all day long.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say is, like a lot of it, like, whenever you first get into it, you can't be greedy at all. Like I was taking probably less money than I probably could have, but I just wanted to continue to get the calls to move aircraft from A to B. I had to keep my foot in the door. And as you gain the experience, as you do it for 6 months to a year to 2 years, your time obviously comes up and your rates also come up because you actually have a little bit of backbone to stand on. Whereas whenever Hugh pulled me out of the valet line, I hadn't really flown a whole lot, and I was just happy. I would have done it for free. They were going to pay me two
And
hundred
he
dollars
did
to
a
do
bunch
it.
of free
Hell
trips for
yeah,
me. Like we
did a
flew
bunch of free
bunches
stuff,
of days for free, but
but I
I don't
needed the
advocate.
time.
I don't advocate
I gotta
flying for
ask a
free.
question here. So when you guys talk about kind of undercutting for the lower price in that world, how is that viewed amongst your peers within the 91
Extremely
world?
negatively.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
so that's why I was
Amongst the
curious.
full-time contractors, it's blacklistable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk
There's
about that.
there's several contracting Facebook pages, forums that the rates are kind of set. Like
Yeah.
I can't go to Mobile, Alabama and get $1,500 a day in a King Air. Dallas, Texas, I can get $1,500 a day in a King Air all day plus per diem, right? So you have to kind of know the market. If somebody calls me from Mobile and they want me to go there from the Dallas area, you'll pay my Dallas day rate. But if I see a job posting and I reach out, I'm expected to meet their market standards for day rates. And it's really frowned upon if they go, "Hey, Joe Smo told me, it was $1,500 a day." I was like, "Hey man, I'll do it for 13." If that gets out, which it always does, because these owners love to
Always.
throw it in your face. "Hey, he does it for 13."
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility to make sure you either come up on your day rate or you're no longer able to contract in my area.
It's fascinating.
We
Right.
take it personal, because
Yeah.
not only are you taking bread out of my mouth, you're taking bread out of all my friends' mouth.
Everybody
And
else's
the
mouth.
contract world is incredibly small. Like,
It's like how the unions have gotten the airline rates to a decent level. It's the same concept.
yeah,
It's
we're
like
just
being
self-policing it.
it's being a scab is
Yeah.
what it is in that industry. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go back to your guys' conversation about, when you were going in there and gaining a foot in the door. How do you do that in the correct way then? Like, how do you, if you don't have any experience and you got to go and do what you got to do, because you got to look at it from the perspective of a cadet for
Well,
the airlines or
You
even
got to be
Connor in that
you got to be a
scenario.
likable person, number one. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, you can train a monkey how to fly these airplanes,
Yeah.
truly. But if you don't want to spend 10, 15 hours a day on the road with somebody, then that right there will make you not call somebody back.
Okay.
But it's all about being a likable person, and yeah, I mean, knowing where you're at experience wise and matching the price for that. And if you can go in there and you know it's not a hard sell. Hey, I have 1,500 hours. I can't do it for what experienced guys do it at $1,500 an hour. So how about you just cut it in half and pay me $750? if I do a good job over and over again, they're going to go with the cheaper guy until you gain that
Mm-hmm.
experience, and then start getting where, like, where a Hugh is, getting, top dollar for moving these machines around. I
And then
It,
can I make
for
a
a
point
lower
really
time
quick?
guy,
Oh, go ahead.
it's really important to network with guys like myself, like Scott. We've been in the contract world. Like, pre-COVID, pre-insurance crackdown, you would have to pay a King Air guy to sit in his right seat.
Yes.
That was common. You would pay to build turbine time at a tune of like $80 an hour,
That's
right?
so
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
there were guys that
Pay to
would
play, baby.
there were guys that would advertise this. Hey, I've got an empty King Air seat. Pay me $80 an hour. You can sit there. And if it was like a 200 and you were multi-engine rated, I'd just let you log it as PIC time, right? Last
Ching.
week, I paid an FO $750 to sit right seat in a CJ3 with me because the
Which is a
owner's life insurance policy.
single pilot airplane. Yeah.
Single pilot airplane.
Yep.
The insurance company, his life insurance company, required him to fly with 2 pilots at all times. So I literally
The owner,
paid this
yeah.
person to sit there. All they did was run the radios because the gear's on my side, ran the radios, and load bags. And I did most of the loading because I'm pretty picky about how I stack my stuff. $750 a day. That was unheard of, like, even 5 years ago. Like, no one would let you sit in my right seat and talk in my ear all day. Nah, I'm over that. But the industry has changed where to get the left seat job has become harder, where you can make a pretty good inroad into the 91 community just by showing up, taking care of people's equipment, helping to load bags. I have a Be Personable. I got a notebook that has a list of pilots, and there's 2 classes. There's a class of pilot that I would spend an overnight with, and there's a class of pilot that I just call them for day trips. They're annoying overnight.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah,
you don't take Connor to the bar overnight with you.
Done that.
We've done
I got
that.
some stories that cannot show up on the podcast, but yes, we've done that.
All right, I got 2 different avenues I want you to explore because I don't know anyone in this type of world. So let's say that you go for someone like in Connor's position where they hit you up, and how do you build a book of business then for someone getting into that kind of realm of aviation? And then secondly, I want to talk about, let's say me, I'm a 121, almost 4,000 hours and tons of time in the Airbus now. Could I go and basically go into the 91 world? And how would an airline pilot break into that world? I'm really curious to see, is that even
He's getting into the
possible?
rack world now.
Yeah.
We don't. First of all, we don't let airline pilots in our world.
Oh, okay,
Y'all,
but
we
seriously, theoretically.
We call them racks.
you skipped,
Retired airline
you
captains.
and now you just got to
Yeah.
you got to take you got to lay in the bed that you've made.
Okay, so there's no going
I'm
back.
mainly kidding. Mainly kidding. The age-old phrase that it's who you know. Aviation is backwards. It's who knows you. Like the other day, it's been a few months now. I got a call from the booking or manager of the governor's office of Texas. No idea who this person is. She calls me cold turkey and said, "Hey, I got your number from so and so." I hadn't flown for that person that gave her my number in 6 months. And, would you be willing to fly the governor? And I was like, yeah, shoot, absolutely. And then they rolled out and did some trips for UT for the head coach and his wife at UT. But it's just who knows you or knows of you. And,
Small world.
then I really stress that do good work, be kind to people's equipment, clean up. I can't tell you how many airplanes I get to, and the airplane's just a mess. Like when I leave an airplane, it's vacuumed, seat belts are good, everything's wiped down, paperwork is filled out because, that just sets you up for the next one. Because they might have a guy that's available, but they don't like him because he's just not a clean pilot. And so they'll call you. Like, I've paid for airplanes to be detailed before out of my own pocket because I just don't like the way it looks. So, it's $400 to get an airplane detail in the Dallas area.
Yeah.
You can roll that into $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of work in a year just by spending a little time and effort to say, hey, go clean this airplane. I'll pay for it. You just build a little equity. It's all about building equity. in the 91 world. You know, make yourself indispensable to a 91 owner.
Yep. Yep. Make yourself hard to replace.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so when you get into doing that for a career, how do you build a book of business where it's consistent enough to where you can rely on it as 100% income and actually become quite wealthy at doing that? I'm just curious because like, they call you for a job, but you don't know when the next job is going to be. And then, is it a boom and bust kind of factor where, there's 30 calls at one point and then all of a sudden it goes silent for a couple months? Like how does
Yeah.
how does that
happens.
all work?
It is. It's. I tell people in aviation to make $1 million, start with 2.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
That's how you
if
make
you,
$1 million. Yeah.
you hope to make enough money in the high time to run you through the low time. And most of these aircraft, especially in Texas, they all have buddies that have a similar aircraft that they do. Like I became really good in the twin Cessna, 414, 421, 402s, 340s. And I made well over 100 grand my first year doing it. I just stayed in that space and I got really, really, really good at it. And then I moved over to the King Airs, but all these 421 owners, they all knew other 421 owners. And they were like, hey, do you mind if I share your number with my buddy? He's got a 421 in Arkansas. Yeah, I mean, if he's willing to pay for me to, my day rate to commute, day to fly, day to commute home, if he's willing to pay for 3 days for a 1-day trip, absolutely. So it's all about, like, now I'm in the CJ world. So you meet all these guys. My buddy's got a CJ like right down the road. You want to fly that too? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Ton
And
of
then
them.
so you kind of roll, always try to figure out what these guys do for a living, and that will really get you a good idea of when their high and low times of the year are, and then who else they know in that CJ world. Because most of these guys don't have full-time pilots; they're too cheap.
Yeah.
But
That's
you can,
true.
hey man, do you know any other CJs? Like Meacham. I was a King and Grand Meacham for a long time. Flew the F9200s. Hey, my buddy just bought an F90 over in Graham. You want to fly it? Yeah, heck yeah. Sweet. Dude, I've followed one F90 tail number. It's now in his 5th owner, and I'm getting ready to train the pilot on that airplane. So same airplane, 5 owners. But it's a lot of work to keep up with who owns it now, what
Right.
their operation is, where
Right.
they like to go, how they like the airplane to be flown. Because some of these owners are
Yep.
picky. How they
Yep.
like it to be flown, what kind of rental cars they want. Like my boss wants black full-size rental cars, SUVs. He don't want a white one. He don't want a maroon one. He wants a black one. And he likes it staged a certain way on the ramp. He likes his scotch a certain way in the airplane. So the 91 world is incredibly rewarding and it can be super lucrative, but you have to put a lot of time in to learn these things. Like in the 340, my boss doesn't because he's on time. If I pick him, if he says 7:00, he's there 6:55. He doesn't want me to shut the right engine down. He just wants the left one shut down. So it's the little intricacies of the job that will roll it into the next one. I mean, that guy, he's top notch. He does, and then most of these owners are kind of similar anyway. They're all middle-aged Texas men. You kind of see one, you kind of see them all for the most part. And I've got notebooks of just notes on customers, like
Yes.
what they like, what they don't like, where they like to go, what hotels they like to use, where they like to eat. Pre-trip, I'll print out two or 3 pages worth of restaurants, entertainment, massages. Just these are the places in this area that is worth going. And you'll be surprised. Most people are going to, they have a business meeting in Boca Raton. I'll be there for 3 days. They're Googling, same as I'm Googling. But if I do it for them, it just makes me look that much better than, John Doe that's out here. He'll just fly him and park the airplane and leave.
So
Yeah.
you're offering a concierge full turnkey solution to their
Bro, I
transportation
do it all.
needs.
Security included if you want it. I got some security companies I work with.
Yeah.
And one of the companies I met, he was a doorman at Business Jet Center on Love Field. I came in late one night and he walks up, he goes, "Hey man, you ever need security?" I was like, "Sometimes." He goes, "Man, I'm a security guy, blah, blah, blah." He's working on his multi-engine right now. and I've used them in a couple trips, but I'm a one-stop shop. You
Hell
know?
Yeah, you
yeah.
built your own business.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is part 91. I'm glad you're highlighting a lot of this stuff because this is where the airline guys, especially the racks, struggle. I've heard over and over in the contract world, oh, we hired this retired airline captain because he had 20,000 hours experience on the 7 whatever, and he refuses to throw bags. He refuses to stock the airplane. Like you said, he parks it and walks away, and the owners are left standing there with their dicks in their hands.
Yeah,
You
and he'll
know,
park it
and
after blowing your back out on a
y-
landing because he's
yep,
flaring too high.
yep. And then they fire, yeah, and then they fire the guy and they go, oh, we should have hired the corporate guy who wanted a little more money or something, you know? Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you're highlighting all this stuff because
You,
it's,
you got to be
yeah,
quick on your feet, and if you have the wherewithal to think through problems, you'll be a phenomenal corporate pilot. Because I can't tell you how many airplanes I've walked up to that there's some major squawk that we're not going to go flying today. This is not happening unless you have the thought, hey, let me call an AOG company right quick. Get this problem fixed, and might be delayed 2 hours. Big deal. And also learning how to say no, because a lot of these owners will try to kill you without trying to kill you. Oh, I've got to go today. I mean, the last conversation I had like this, they had to go to Aspen, and the weather was terrible. The wind was bad. And I just looked the guy in the eye and I said, hey, do you want to die today? And you could see him pause. And I'm like, because if we go to Aspen today, the likelihood of us dying is high. Single pilot approaching to Aspen is not fun. I do it 18, 20 times a season. It is the least fun there is in aviation.
it's the most challenging approach in the lower 48.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. I just did it a couple weeks ago. ILS did the localizer in 1.5, circle to 3.3. I had
I've
a right
never
seater.
circled. That's crazy.
I had a right seater with me, and he looked like he was about to just absolutely shit a brick. I looked over at him, and he was just like, he was stressed. But you're gonna do things that stress you out, but learn how to say no, because those no's will save your life at the end of the day, or save your reputation. Because you go bend an airplane in Aspen, dude, that's gonna follow you in a 91 world like a dog. Oh, that guy, he flew to Aspen, he bent the landing gear. You'll never live that down, even though it might not necessarily be 100% your fault.
Right.
In the owner's mind, it's your fault, and he will tell all his
Perception
friends
is
that it's your fault.
reality.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so
there's-
interesting. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Scott.
and you get respect for telling people no because they're not used to hearing it.
Yeah.
And if you have good reason, I'm not saying go out and just tell everybody no, that'd be stupid. But like he was saying, if there's a good reason to say no and you explain it to them, you get respect from that owner usually.
And when you say no, be prepared to give a dissertation on your no, like really defend that position, because in their mind, they've got to be there now. And 90% of the time, it's a wait a couple hours, wait 2 hours and the weather is fine, or divert to
Yeah.
rifle.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I've sat in that holding pattern for hours and gone to rifle so many times.
But it's just like the way I fly now, I fly to protect my reputation. I've made a really good name for myself in the King Air world, the Twin Cessna world, and now the CJ world, that there's certain flights I won't even touch because of the likelihood of something going wrong. The airplane's not in good shape. I don't need it. My full-time gig pays me enough that I don't have to contract. I just contract because it's fun.
Yeah, and
Do you ever
guys
think
that are
of-
listening to this, you need to find you a Hugh Wade if you can, if you're trying to get into it, because I'd say 50%, if not more than 50% of my flights that I was doing whenever I was really getting after it contracting was calls that Hugh got that he either couldn't do, had a sick kid, or was already doing 3 other trips in that day, and he just sent me down the road to go do it for him, because he just didn't have the time to. So, man, a lot of my
Remember the first
aviation
trip I
success
sent
does
Connor
get
on
credited to you.
was a 414 trip, and I felt like a father as my kid is going off to college. Dude, I was so nervous that day, and I had a lot of faith in him because, okay,
I'd be nervous too if I sent Connor along.
Yeah, me too.
One of the first trips we did, So there's a local broker at my home airfield. His name is Brian Ridgely. He's a second generation owner of this brokerage company. They used to get brand new airplanes from Textron. They were like one of the few third party brokers that would get brand new airplanes from Textron. We had to go to Waco to pick up a 414 that was coming out of maintenance. Connor was flying us in an Arrow that we had that the landing gear wouldn't go up. No autopilot, just old airplane. So we launched out of Cherokee County, 200-foot overcast, go to Waco, 200-foot overcast. And ATC sets us up on a 90-degree intercept for the localizer 19 into Waco Regional. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Connor. I'm not saying nothing. I'm pretty good about, I'll just sit. If I'm mentoring somebody, I'll sit in the right seat and just shut up for the most part, unless you ask a question or I see something that's really stupid. The Connor's up and he's excited. He's getting paid $250 a day to fly this little Arrow. And ATC clears us for the approach on this 90-degree heading that will just, it's a sharp intercept. And we're above glide path already. And boy, Connor whips that sucker like one of those folks in Atlanta in a Hellcat, dude. Just, I mean, rolls it into the approach. And we had Brian in the back seat, and Brian goes, wow. And I look over at Connor's side, and I mean, at this point, he's on glide path and he's on localizer and he's holding it. And I was like, man, this kid's got some skill. Like, he's got what it takes to go out there and be successful on my side of the fence. And so I just started sending him on his own. Hey, man, I got a trip. I can't do it. You can go do it. And, I'm proud of him. I mean, the last 4 guys I've mentored have all end up in Gulfstreams, and I'm still sitting here in single pilot jets. So
that's like, we had Vince on. Vince is the same way. Vince mentored all us skydive pilots in turbines, and now we're all flying big jets. And he's still flying skydivers.
And, for the 91 guy, enjoy the process, man. It's taken me 15 years to end up in a flight department. I've had a couple of good flight departments, but this one's arguably the best. Like, I don't fly weekends unless he gives me a 7-day notice. Health insurance, life insurance. I get paid comparable to a second-year captain at the major. It's a great, phenomenal gig. My boss, I have a lot of autonomy. Like, I don't have to ask. If it's below $20,000, I don't have to ask to swipe the credit card.
That's good.
Every so often we have a little sit down. We run through the expenses, why I did that. Just great company. But to get you'll run through quite a few bad 91 gigs. And, you might hate them, but try to take as much as you can from that position to when you go to the next guy, you're that much of a better chief pilot because flying is the easiest part of this job. It's the back end stuff. So if you can learn how to roll the knowledge that you've gotten, and when you go to the next guy, you're like, man, this is a really polished operation I'll bring to your company. It really behooves you to do that, even if you don't plan on staying 91 for the rest of your life. But it just makes you that more sought after. And don't choose jobs based on money, because you'll get some of these jobs that are, I've seen them. There's one right now in East Texas, $500,000.
It's a good chunk of change.
But the owner's
There's
runs
a reason
through,
they have to pay that much.
he runs through these pilots like crazy. I mean, nobody lasts a year there.
I mean, you could do it like
is that the operation that has
SEC
2 really
football
large
coaches.
cabins? Go ahead.
No, he's actually pretty good to his guys.
I was going to say, you got to get a guaranteed full year contract like the SEC football coaches, and then just bounce out of there after making, $50 million.
Those 2 large cabin aircraft, he's actually shopping you right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to
Go over
ask,
there.
so when you look at some of these YouTube guys that go out and they're flying Gulfstream contract pilots, showing him making, $500,000 to $1.2 million a year. And
Odd. I know who you're talking about too.
well,
Me
yeah.
too.
So
Screw that guy.
what I want to
Yep.
talk about is, what kind of image is that showing the person wanting to get into that? And then also, what's the reality of, is that possible to get to? Or
Yeah.
is that completely,
Totally.
possible?
You don't have to be a douchebag about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how for the average Part 91 kind of contract pilot, how does one get to that point to where their clientele and their day rate is just so significantly high? Because obviously you work at a flight department now, like, why wouldn't that attract someone like you guys? You guys all have done this kind of thing. I'm the only one who hasn't, so I'm looking on the outside looking in and being like, "Hell, man, I don't wanna go to LaGuardia 15 times a month. I'll go sling gear and do this and build my
Okay.
own book of
This is
business,"
good.
and yeah, I'm curious. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hell, I would do this shit if
Yeah.
that's actually
Hey,
how
I did
lucrative it
it.
is,"
I took
you
a
know?
75% pay cut when I went to the airlines. But I also was the last 6 months I did it, I spent 7 nights in my own bed to
Yeah.
make that kind of money.
That's how you make the money. You
That's
just stay
crazy.
on
That's
the
what
road.
this guy does.
And a lot of these guys are
Yeah.
like doing like these 15-day Africa trips, making $2,000, $3,000 a day. There you go. Like
A
Wow.
you
day.
do a couple of
Plus the
those.
owner's paying for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a mediocre contract pilot on, let's say, a King Air 200. That's a very common airframe here in East Texas or throughout Texas in general.
Good airplane.
Anywhere from the rate right now is $1,100 to $1,500 a day on a King Air. Let's see, you charge 12. A mediocre contract pilot can make $150. Like
Just
no
flying
problem.
all the time.
And how much
Yeah.
how many yeah, but how much flying does that actually equate to on, like, a monthly basis or a yearly basis?
Wait, y'all.
Really depends on who you're flying for, but most of those trips are 5-6 leg trips, multiple stops, typically hour and a half, 2-hour legs. So you'll rack up a ton of flying. Like, dude, this year, my 91 corporate flight, we're right at 500 hours for 2025. And then I stacked another 450 on that in contracting. And that's without breaking a sweat. And
Yeah.
that's home 2 or 3 days like my boss, we're day trips 95% of the time. Like I already flew for today. I was back by 11.
Hey.
But they're early mornings. It's not uncommon for me to leave my house at 3 a.m. But I'm back in time, usually back in time for dinner with the family. And for me, that's the most important, where I can be involved in some semblance of family life. But 2022, 21 into 22, I contracted just under 300 days that year. Yeah.
Okay, so how many of those are on the road? Is
So do
every
that
night
math.
on the road in that sense, or is that day trip
Yeah, do that
contract?
math.
Like, how does that all
Most
work?
of them were day trips, out and backs.
Okay,
Like,
so that's like what I did this year. Basically, was I
Yeah.
contract piloted the hell out of like day turns, and so I was home most of the time. But
yeah,
man, it
like
was
hunting season, September, where a
Through
lot of guys
January.
with big ranches, they get they get MLD
Yeah.
tags, so their hunting season starts a little early. September through the end of January, you can make your year's wages right there.
is
But
that
you'll do,
specific to the Texas area based upon the hunting
you'll do a
season?
lot of these Thursday to Sunday turns. So you'll get paid Thursday through Sunday. You'll sit on the ranch for the most part, drink his good whiskey, go hunting with him. Like I have a guy right now, in a couple weeks, we're going dove hunting. It'll be a 4-day turn in a King Air. I bring my shotgun and I go shoot his quail for free while getting paid, $1,500 a day to sit there, do nothing. So,
Yeah.
but again, nobody wants a pilot on a multi-day contract trip if you can't get along with people. You can't sit around the fireplace at night and shoot the shit with the boys, take your licks. Like I ran a King Air off the edge of a runway. I did a 180 on the runway and slipped the right landing gear off. Didn't damage it, got it stuck in the mud. I had Wade in the back of the airplane and went to this ranch in East Texas and just got it handed to me all weekend long. You're
They
a
probably
mud
wrote a
dog,
song
mud
about
monkey.
you.
I mean, dude. So Sunday we're leaving. The owner of the ranch happens to fly his own Global Express around, comes out, and I was kind of curious on how they got the airplane out of the mud so quickly, because they had all the tools, jacks, pads, everything. So Sunday he's helping me get my King Air out. He goes, "Man, you took your licks pretty good." I'm like, "Dude, I did it. I'm sorry." He goes, "Well, I was delivering the Global and I ran the sucker off the edge of the runway, same as you did. Only it took me 10 days to get it out of the mud." So,
Yep.
like, if you get your feelings hurt, don't do this job.
Yeah, it's a real, I
Because
don't know,
they will
frat boy
call you on a bad
style.
landing.
Yep.
If it's bumpy, you're getting yelled at. If you spill a drink, oh, dude, you got to take my pants to the dry cleaners now.
Yep.
You know, and they say it in jest, and it is a joke. But if you get your feelings hurt, dude, you'll stay butt hurt in this life.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about the clientele that you're servicing are men that have and women that have made it, and they're
Yeah.
in the back of a jet.
Yeah.
And you don't get there with being soft, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they're going to tell you exactly how it is. So yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, you got to be one of them and rise to their kind of emotional status in that sense. And like you said, be a part of that almost fraternity, like Connor said, where it's just like, this is what it is. And if you don't like it, then we'll find someone else who can fit your spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. How interesting of a conversation is this? I mean, I've
Man,
always wondered about this kind
I've
of
sat
stuff.
through some conversations that the next morning the stock market changed because of the conversation.
100%.
Through.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. These guys will sit there with the cheapest beer money can buy in Texas, which is a natural light,
a natty light. Yeah.
and they'll be talking
Connor's
about
favorite.
They'll be talking, dude. Don't talk bad about
Keystone.
natty light. I got them in my fridge right now.
Keystone.
Keystone.
They'll be talking about these $2 billion deals, and the Texas land commissioners sitting two places down at the fireplace. And it's just like, it's kind of mind blowing that these guys that if you saw them in Walmart, jeans have holes in them, but they're worth, one of the guys I've been flying, he's followed me now on 3 different tail numbers. 100,000 acre ranch in West Texas. Never tips less than $500. That's after paying your day rate in cash. And just salt to the earth. Like, every time, man, Hugh, it's so good to see you. Gives you a big old hug. But I've worked to get to that point where
Right. You earned his respect.
If he needs an airplane and I can find him one, he rather flies with me, while his cousin that's based on his home airport has a jet that's available to him, but he won't use it. He'll call me to repo empty 45 minutes to go get him. So
Crazy.
I think the best thing about this job is building relationships that last a long time with oftentimes very powerful people.
What's interesting about a Part 91 pilot is, in order to get that line of work, you have to be quite entrepreneurial to be able to make a business for yourself within that department. But then you're surrounded by men that have also become quite entrepreneurial, whether it's through their own ventures or managing high level businesses. And so you have an opportunity, if you're already entrepreneurial, to connect and figure out kind of other business avenues, I guess, or grow your own business in that sense too, because they talk the same language as you do with trying to do that. So it's a pretty interesting way to make it in the aviation realm. So, I think it's highly fascinating. I think
you kind of build that camaraderie with these guys because they'll look, man, this guy's a hard worker. A lot of them ask, how much you flown this year? And you tell them, God damn, man, that's a lot of flying.
Yeah.
And then you automatically get that respect because they go, hey, this guy's a go-getter. And I grew up in a large household in a third world country. I've been poor. I've eaten rice for days on end, and I vowed I'd never go back to it. Even my wife is a very white East Texas girl. Grew up, I wouldn't say wealthy, but well-to-do. Both her parents are in the medical field. And sometimes she doesn't understand. Like, she goes, we got money in the bank. You've already done 5 or 6 contracts this month. But I'm like, hey, I know that this can go away in an instant.
Yep. So
let me get it while it's for the getting, because one day in summer, we might want to go to Florida. And I say, hey, babe, we can't afford that. So let me go out and pay for it in advance. And, that usually settles that argument.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I bet it does.
That.
And dude, when I met that girl, I was working for a certain company in East Texas. I won't name call, making $42,000 a year, flying an airplane and managing construction projects. And I had a baby on the way. And one day we flew that 421 together, Connor, you and I.
I was going to say there'd be days where Hugh and I were flying that airplane that he's talking about, but he would pull up to the airport with a big 20-foot flatbed trailer on the back of his truck. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I gotta go pick up sheet metal after we get done with this flight and go take it to the job site."
Dude.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Damn,
I'd get
really?"
off
And he
working that
kept talking.
full-time job in the day and be at the airport for 9 o'clock for an overnight flight, get back in at 2 in the morning and roll straight to a job site.
Get
Crazy.
it, son.
Um, so I was starting a contract. I was wetting my feet in the contract, and my wife goes, at the time she was my girlfriend, we were living together, and she goes, I had a baby due in like 2 months. So I'm stressing, dude. I'm just, I don't know how I'm gonna do all this. And she goes, quit your job and go be a full-time contractor. You can make more money. I'm like, you're out of your mind. This is, that little 42 grand is coming in pretty handy, you know? And she really she really pushed me to quit. And I was a full-time contractor up until May of 24 when I got this,
Yeah.
full-time job that has me tied down. But that contract world's been great to me. Great to me.
I guess one area that I wonder is, from my point of view, in the airline world, we have like fallbacks in case you lose your medical. Most of the major airlines, you have some kind of long term disability. Whereas in the corporate world, like what happens if you bust an eye out or whatever it is,
Aflac.
Yep.
You
Or
pay for Aflac.
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like
You
a
can
private long term disability kind of
yeah,
thing,
you
or
can get loss of license insurance on the 91
Yeah.
side. Uh,
is that significant amount of money per month?
when I was
Uh,
doing it, not really.
no, it's reasonable.
Yeah,
Does
it's
it
it's
pay for an
doable.
Yeah.
entire career out though? You know what I mean? Until X amount of years? Like how does that work in that sense? Because, if I were to, let's say I worked at Delta and if I, was not able to fly, I'm literally good for 3/4 of my income as of now for 40 years, basically. And so theoretically, right, that could all
I think the
change.
plan I had was 100% of my income for 10 years.
That's a lot. That
Yeah.
gives you a
It's
point of view
it's
where you can
similar to
restart.
RLTD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And like I carried loss of license insurance and I carried non-owners liability insurance. So God forbid I've been in an airplane and their insurance company goes, well, this contractor we won't cover. You had something to,
Fall
and that
back
made
on.
that made me a lot more valuable to these guys. Like, dude, not only is my airplane insured, but my pilot has his own insurance where if he bends something, we're covered on both ends of things. Because a lot of these owners will call you, hey, I want you to fly my like the guy for tomorrow. He wanted me to commute to California, fly back. Never did he once ask like for an insurance form for me to fill out for his insurance company. You know what I mean? Like, so God forbid I get back to Addison and I bend his airplane on the landing. He's stuck with it, or he can sue me. But there's a whole lot of liability involved in being a 91 pilot where I have to think about it pre going out, or once you get to the airplane, you look at the airplane like this airplane's a liability not only for me but for my passengers. And I've walked away from tons of airplanes. Like, dude, this thing is a rust bucket. Next guy up.
Hmm.
Then
It's
there won't be a
interesting.
next guy that's gonna fly it.
These guys are highly successful men. Why do they not take care of their airplanes? Why do they put so much risk on themselves by flying almost unairworthy airplanes? What's the psychology behind that, do you think?
Cheap.
They're cheap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Can you
are.
guys see this? Can you
Yeah.
guys see this screen? Can you see the screen share? So
Yeah.
this is I just did a quick search. I'm not associated with these people at all. Harvey Watt. It was the first one that came up for loss of license. Put in my age, said I want my payments to start 30 days um, after loss of license until retirement. It gives you 3 options. So short-term disability, 22 weeks length, 6,000 a month is the payout. It's 118 a month off your cost. LTD, which is 8,000 a month payout. You got to wait 6 months. Gives you 48 months of pay. That's 235. A extended
Only 2 years,
LTD.
though.
Yeah, but yep, same thing, but extended LTD, 6,000 a month, 54-month wait. That's pretty long. I'm guessing you use the little one, then the big one, that's 150 a month. So, and this is just one quick company search, right? I'm sure you can find cheaper negotiated rates and such, but just a quick thing to show kind of short answer on the 91 side, what you might be looking at compared. We definitely get a better deal in the airline world, but that's because, big rate plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a totally different ballgame, but it is out there and it is somewhat affordable. When you're making, more than $250,000 a year as a contractor, that, couple $100 a month is worth it.
Yeah, you'll spend that at the bar or the hotel bar drinking expensive beer. So
Yeah, especially with Connor.
Yeah.
don't I know?
We'll send this to your employer, Connor. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's familiar,
more-
I'm sure.
I'm more of a wild turkey guy.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, that's terrible. That's
Three
a
miles, man, go
terrible
hunting.
choice of bourbon is wild
It
turkey.
was a
You ought to be
joke,
ashamed of
damn it.
yourself.
Oh my god.
Connor would drink wild turkey. If you poured it, he'd drink it and he'd shut up about it too.
Yeah.
I set up to be a good boy.
Yeah, well, that's pretty insightful for a lot of people that are curious about the contracting 91 world.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's helpful to dabble in y'all's world, at 121 world, because what goes on in the 121 is a trickle down effect, right? Nobody was hiring for 2 years, so the 91 side wasn't really hiring full time pilots the last 2 years. If you were a contractor, you're still doing great, but for a full time 91 gig, they were hard to come by because all these guys that were slated to go to Envoy, Piedmont, the mainlines weren't hiring, so they weren't taking guys from the regional, and the regionals weren't taking guys from the 91, 135 world. As of last night, I saw a bunch of job listings come up on JetLinks. NetJets has a bunch of openings right now. FlexJet, they're thinking about reworking their pilot minimums, because FlexJet always says they're hiring, but they'll manipulate their hiring mins to increase or decrease hiring.
I think it's 3,500 right now is what you needed.
Yeah,
I think.
like 2 years ago, it was down to 2,500, and you
Yeah.
were making $175. You know what I mean?
Well, it used to be impossible to get into NetJets, and then I have a buddy who's an instructor for them, and they were hiring 1,500-hour guys off the street.
Yeah.
They were just desperate for a while.
So I look at all these hiring forecasts, and I don't look at them real. I just Air Crew News is great to me. I can see what's going on without
Half
really
their shit is
investigating.
wrong, though. That's the problem I have with them is they're
It
not
is, but-
reporting accurately. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
You see
I got beef with
Southwest.
them.
You see Southwest. I got a buddy that's check in at Southwest. They're planning on hiring 800 and some pilots this year.
Yeah, they just updated.
That's correct.
Yep.
and upgrading.
And once the Max comes out, it'll be more.
Yeah, upgrading
Yeah.
another 600. So that's great for us. That's great for me. That great for Connor.
Yeah.
Opens up a lot of these 91 opportunities.
A lot of work.
Connor's a hybrid. He's a 91, 135. I'm purely 91. Americans looking at hiring. I got a buddy at the FAA. He's in charge of oversight for all of American's 737 fleet from the federal standpoint. And he goes, yeah, dude, we're starting to hire again.
Well, I'll give you the numbers. United's 4,000, American's 2,000, Delta's 1,000, Southwest is almost 900. Frontier's hiring again. I think they're going for 800 a month. 800 this year. I mean, it's going to be a ton of 121 hiring.
I have a couple.
You forgot we run at a Aviation podcast. We're pretty good with those numbers.
Yeah, we got the numbers.
Yeah, we got the numbers.
I
I'm kidding.
got a couple friends up in Fort Worth, both female instructors. One's in class right now. One starts class in 30 days over at Piedmont. So they both waited over a year for a class date. And so they're starting to fill these classes up. Like, I'm already seeing openings in 91 flight departments where, hey, would you like to come? I've got several guys shopping me right now. Hey, would you like to come over? I was like, well, I won't leave. I don't have a contract with my boss, and I told him, hey, I'm not looking to leave, but I'll always listen.
Yeah, always hear the
I like
opportunity at
that.
least.
My ears are always open. If you make it worth my while, like part of the reason I took this job, he's based in Navasota, which is a 3-hour drive for me. When I started there, which I found a job on Facebook, believe it or not, did like an interview flight. He goes, dude, you're hired, but the airplane's in Navasota, College Station area. I was like, dude, So like the first month, I'd get up at midnight, drive there, go fly, and get back home at 8 or 9 at night. And one morning he calls me. He goes, "Can we be airborne in 3 hours?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm at least 4 hours out from the airplane. By the time I get there, pre-flight, ready to go." He goes, "Okay, just get here when you can get here." I'm like, "Okay, man, no problem." So I get there. We're flying along, and he goes, "Would you like to move the airplane?" We only had one airplane at that time. He goes, "Would you like to move the airplane to where you're at?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, great."
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
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 So we move it. Ridgely and I were good friends. He had a hangar space available, and I took the job and moved the airplanes. About 6 months in, I told my boss, "Hey, you need a bigger airplane. Just the way your flight department's running, we're running a twin Cessna 400 hours a year. That's going to be my projected numbers. We can't keep this airplane out of the shop long enough. You're doing oil changes every 25, exhaust ADs every 50,
Mm.
He goes, "Well, you have $2 million. Go find me an airplane." So we looked at King Airs. And finally one day he goes, "Man, I want a jet." So I got a hold of originally. I said, "Hey, let's go find a jet." So we found a jet in Germany. I flew it home from Germany, December of 2024.
What'd you get?
CJ1.
A CJ1.
So I got to fly it home from Germany and got a 10-day vacation in Germany while I was at it.
Yeah.
Very
Ver-
nice.
Yeah. So it's just, I can go on and on about the 91 department, about like my boss didn't have a budget for his flight department. We got 2 airplanes running and no budget. So I sat down one day and we came up with a budget. There's certain things you got to do that they have the money for it, but they just don't know where that money's going. And
Right.
you're now responsible for where that money's going. You're the quote unquote black hole that money disappears into, and jet fuel and maintenance costs and all that stuff. So you got to think about that stuff. Okay, how bad did the last guy mess it up? So you got to come in and fix a lot of things.
Yeah.
Do it to your liking, and then you go
Right.
from there. But
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I think this was really enlightening for a lot of people, especially people that had questions about contracting or Part 91, the realities.
big
I think,
reality in contracting: 30 days to get paid.
well, dude, I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up. I mean, I went 40, yeah, and that's another thing. You're going to end up spending, a decent amount of your time chasing payment on stuff.
And that's why I encourage guys to go to electronic payment methods, because, the owner might have a credit card in his pocket, but he never has a checkbook. It's in his CFO's office. So it's
Right.
easier for him to whip out the credit card and pay the bill on the spot or in a couple days versus, QuickBooks costs me $400 or $500 a year.
Mm-hmm.
How I run it, but I get paid a lot quicker than the guy that doesn't have it. Because you're taking checks, they might get lost in the mail. You got to say, "Hey, your check got lost," or
Yep.
owners put the wrong amount of money on there, and, "Hey, you didn't pay me out." It just gets rid of all the confusion. All my receipts I get for reimbursables are attached to the invoice. You see what I've spent on hotels, all that stuff. Just makes life a lot easier, and then it's more transparency too, where it's like, "Hey, this is my day rate, this is my per diem, my hotel costs $450 and 12 cents."
Yeah.
People like that, where they have an I guess understanding where their money is going, and just makes everybody happy at the end of the day.
So do you do a per diem? So you do a day rate plus per diem?
75 a day in the country and 130 international. And Vegas is international. LA is international.
Interesting.
Miami is international.
Why do you charge international at those airports?
Everything's more expensive there.
Okay. So I see how okay.
Yeah.
So now, if you're overnighting, are you expensing for hotels and everything as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So you're charging per diem on top of your expenses.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
some guys will say, "Hey, I'd rather you just go eat and then give me your food receipts."
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, and God forbid you have a little drinky poo on your overnight, they're like, well, we're not going to reimburse for alcohol. I'm like,
Oh,
do you want a miserable pilot tomorrow? Because I
yeah.
can rearrange your spine in an instant.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah.
Bro.
It's a lot of power.
Yeah. As a per diem, for me, per diem is simple. I have 2 clients that they still prefer me to just go eat and, keep it under $200 a night, which
Right.
that's easy for me.
Reasonable.
Yeah. But some people like per diem. I fly for some management companies. They prefer per diem because they'll give that to you in cash, pre-dispatch. So just
You're making more per
whatever
diem
people,
than I
however they
am
want
at
the bill to
75.
come is how it will go.
Yeah.
I think
You're making
industry
more per
standard is
diem than we are.
75.
Yeah, well,
What you
so
making,
we're
60?
like no, we're like $3.70 some odd cents an hour, pretty much. And so I think like we just got back from a 4-day or 5-day. I think it was a 4-day, and I think our per diem was like $355 the entire time we were there.
Dude, if I
But
charge $3 an hour for per diem, they may as well pay me a whole nother day rate because it's not uncommon for me to do 2 18-hour days back to back. So
yeah,
they'll really get, bent over the barrel on that one.
Yeah.
I look at per diem as like
So
more of
Yeah.
like an offset than I do like trying to pocket it. Because like I outspend
Yep.
my per diem. There's no doubt about it. But I just look like okay, like at least it
yeah, you go to a
offsets it.
nice location, dude. You go. I love a good steak. Like you go to Miami, a good steak's $100.
Easy.
Yeah.
For a good ribeye with the
Easy.
sides. Throw an old fashioned in there, especially if it's made with Buffalo Trace. It's $40.
Yeah. Well,
It
it's
adds up,
interesting to
dude.
see because like when I did it, I didn't I just did my day rate plus expenses. Um, but I never, unless I was eating at like a super high end place, I never even bothered with all the small receipts because I was making such a good day rate that I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm just gonna write it off on my own taxes.
Yeah. And
Like
that's
why?
another good tip. Don't
Yeah.
nickel and dime people.
No,
Like
don't.
I know a
I
guy,
never
like if
wanted
he
that.
buys a bottle of water on the road, it's on his invoice, $2.11 for a bottle of water. I'm like, dude, if you can't afford a bottle of water on the road, just don't do this. This makes it hard for everybody.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
even
that's
more.
stupid.
It's like keep it simple. The owners like it when you keep it simple.
Yep.
So that's why per diem works out good for you.
Simplicity, and you just get, most of the time you get it before. Sometimes you'll get it after, but you still get it at the end of the day. It makes everybody be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
And then I get to keep my beard as a 91 operator. I don't look like you nerds. But I've turned down CG. I got turned down a CGO for Envoy, and I was like, nah, I gotta shave my beard and dress up to go to
yeah,
work.
go to what UPS. I think you don't have to shave. Put your app
Oh,
in over
that's
there.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they let you wear
jeans
a
and
beard.
polo shirts and Air Jordans for me, man.
Dude, do you have any
Great.
questions looking across the other, the other aisle, I guess you could say, on what it's, you made a career in the 91 field and doing all this kind of stuff. Do you ever like think about what it's like in the airline stuff or have any perspectives of what the pilots on the 121 side are like compared to what the reality of the situation is? I'm just curious on what you think.
I have a lot of friends in the airline. A lot. Like most of the
So you
guys I
already
came
know
up
most of
with.
it.
But it's like I don't get the mindset,
Hmm.
which sometimes I do because you show up, everything's done, you just plug it in and you go. And
Uh-huh.
You
there's some
walk in, you
days,
turn left, and run the checklist.
yeah, there's some days it's great. That sounds great to me to just show up and plug it in and you go. But it's like I don't understand how guys could do it for 20 years or 30 years or however.
It's
I
too
just don't.
methodical in a way. It's too the same cookie cutter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
like here's a
understand that.
box,
Yeah.
and you must live within the confines of this box,
Yeah.
operationally, personally. You know, there's a lot of boxes you got to live in the airline. I like that sometimes my guys color outside the box.
Yeah.
Sure.
I respect guys that hang in there, dude. I've flown with some great former airline pilots. I've flown with some horrible ones. And longevity wise, the airline is a much better place, especially after, your first year there, you're protected by your union,
Mm-hmm.
all this fun stuff. There's a lot of positives there. And I tell everybody I meet, hey, the airline isn't for everybody, and 91 is for even less.
Yeah.
I think it's a
If
great
you can
way
go
of
to the
putting it.
airline, be great there. Go be great there. You're still flying an airplane at the end of the day. Like, I've flown a lot of airplanes that they're all the same once you get the gear up in the wheel well. Flight director mode, flight level change, autopilot.
Basically,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing a VNAV or RNAV departure, arm the VNAV so you make your climb out gradients.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Awesome. If you're doing it just to fly, dude, go to the airline. You'll get that retirement. I have a buddy right now. He retired from FedEx, $1 million plus retirement. It's just great. You're less especially after a couple of years, you're less susceptible to the ebbs and flows of aviation. And 91 world is brutal. My last
Yes.
91 job, call me on a Monday. Hey, the airplane's sold. Friday is your last paycheck. It's brutal. It's tough, but
That happens at the
so if
airline
you can't
too.
put up with all that, dude, go to the airline and be great. Go there and have a blast, as much fun as you can have with it, and try to make it to the majors.
Connor, what did you say?
Hugh said that the airplane sold on Monday. Here's your last paycheck on Friday. That happened to me at a major too.
You had like a 6-month heads up.
Yeah, I did. And I
I
went right
know.
back to
I remember
Hugh,
when,
man, and
when
we
Connor
started
was going
getting
to the
after it.
airline.
All
Yeah, he was pretty decent job flying. We were flying an air ambulance, right? For
yeah,
Mark.
yeah.
And he was over 100 bands. He's doing good money. And he goes, dude, I'm going to Spirit. And I was like, Connor, that's stupid. Those are my words. I'm like, dude, that's stupid. Because we're in a group chat, me, Connor, and these two guys that Connor and I delivered a King Air E92 up in South Dakota. So we meet these guys in Waco, and then I'm going to be left seat regardless. I've never held a right seat job in my life. I've never flown from the right seat in my life, ever. So Connor and the buyer of the airplane, his pilot, had a bit of a pissing match at the door of the airplane about who was going to sit right seat. So we got
Connor
that
really
figured
wanted the
out.
time, huh?
Yeah, pretty amicably. And so we get to South Dakota, and
I was in
I
the
may or
back.
may not have flown through some magenta on the radar on short final. So I was spared Connor the embarrassment of what happened after, but we became good friends after that whole ordeal. We're still in a group chat together. So we all
We're all tied.
bounce our aviation ideas off of each other. And that's another great tip to the 91 guys. Have somebody you can bounce ideas, even like trips off of. Hey man, what do you think about this trip? Should I go? Should I do it? Whether it's this, airplane's that. Have somebody that will hold you accountable to say, hey man, don't do that trip. That's stupid. You're going to kill yourself, because otherwise you'll launch and go kill yourself. So Connor put in the group chat, hey guys, going to Spirit. And we're all like, oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. And I get he had an itch to scratch. He took a pay cut to go to Spirit. And I did have my I told you so moment while he was yelling at me at walk-ons for going to the 121 world.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you did.
yeah. Dude, this 91 world, I've ended up in jail
Yep.
flying 91. 7 weeks, 8 weeks in federal
We
prison.
were yeah.
Over
see,
this?
Yeah. So he was flying King
Let's
Air.
not
and,
skip over
Yeah,
that.
what the hell,
All right,
dude?
so
I'm like, am I supposed to ask a question about that? Or
I got hired to run this. The only time I ever did 135, I got hired to run this single pilot operator 135 certificate. So the pilots, the chief beer, everything, right? I was flying 28 days a month flying this airplane. And we started doing these trips to the border. The first one, I was like, huh.
Shit.
And at this point, I'm in a work permit, all right? My work permit was quickly expiring. So we do a couple of these trips, and I talked to the owner. I said, hey, man, something's off about these people. They're all one-way trips. Nobody speaks English, and I speak Spanish pretty good, so I could talk. Like, they all have the same story. We're gonna go see your grandma. None of them have the same last name. It's just odd. No, you got to do it. This trip is lucrative. It's making money. So my now wife, was my fiance back then. I remember it like it was yesterday. September 21st of 2022 is fairly recent. My work permit's now expired, right? This was a Sunday. I took this trip. I already had all my immigration paperwork filled out because Monday the wife and I were going to go to the courthouse and do a courthouse wedding, get all this stuff filed so I can be legal again. Because we had a destination wedding plan in Mexico for later that year. And in South Texas, passengers are late. And so they get to the airplane and they're all just like, they're in a rush to get on the airplane to get out of there. And, part of the 135, you got to check IDs. I'm checking IDs. They're all valid IDs. Everything's good. Fill out my paperwork. Start my right engine. I had a co-pilot with me that day. A fellow by the name of Kyle Anderson's a good friend of mine. That's a story for another day if we do another one about 91 stuff. But start the right engine. I look up and there's dudes in front of the airplane with ARs pointed at me. I was like, oh, this is serious. Shut it down. Get out of the airplane. Immediately, all my passengers in handcuffs. Great.
Boy.
So, yeah. So this isn't ICE. This is Homeland Security. These are the big dogs. So they pulled Kyle and I aside and they asked us what's going on. And we told them we had all the paperwork to prove that this was a legal charter. So the guy goes, Mr. Wade, you're not American, are you? I'm like, no, I'm from Belize. He goes, you're legal to be here? I'm like, dude, my work permit's expired, but I'm getting married in the morning. And showed him all my paperwork already filled out, whatever. He goes, all right, man, I'm going to let you go get married in the morning, and I'm going to give you a court date 28 days down the road. Right? I'm like, great. Call the wife. I say, hey, and they seize the airplane. The airplane is now federal property. Call the wife, and I said, hey, I'm coming home. Gave her the rundown. She's great. Well, SUV pulls up, and this guy jumps out. And he looks at me. He goes, I'm deporting you, and I'm taking you into custody right now. Right? This is what I needed. So got a call off to the wife. She goes, I already called your lawyer. You're on top of it. Take me to McAllen, Texas. Sat there until Thursday in this cell with like 50 other guys, one toilet, one sink, sleeping on the floor. And this was about the time these conservative governors were shipping people to New York via bus. So Thursday, they come get us out the cell like 1 a.m. And I'm the only guy in this cell that speaks English. So I've gotten familiar with the guards that just the last 4 days. I'm like, hey, where are they taking us? He goes, you're going to Port Isabel. I'm like, great. This is awesome. Because if you're within 150 miles of the border, you can be deported without a court hearing. So that was my concern, that I would get deported without a court hearing. He goes, and when you get to Port Isabel, they're going to move you. I don't know where, but they're going to move you inland. I'm like, this is great. Now I got to go to court to fight my case. So get to Port Isabel, and now they have us in wrist chains, belly chains, and ankle chains. And they put us on this prison bus and drive us 13 hours to north of Abilene. And from Sunday to Thursday, no shower, no phone call, nothing. You're just sitting there. So get to Anson on Thursday. First thing I did was call the wife. She goes, you're going to get out of there, but we don't know how long you're going to be in there. I'm like, God, this is just beautiful. And I was kind of pissed because this is September, October. November was my busy season for contracting. I had a bunch of November trips already pre-booked. Like good trips too, like 3-4 day a piece.
Connor must have made a lot of money.
He was already flying for their ambulance.
I was on your medevac.
So they come. So we start the court process. So my dear darling wife had to come to federal prison to marry me. which
Ooh, prison wedding.
which
You guys always find the
now,
most interesting guys to have on here, bro. Like, what am I doing with my life?
Step up
I
your
have
game,
friends that'll
Sean.
ask me, dude, why do you let your wife have pretty much whatever she wants? I'm like, because she really loves me to come to jail to marry my
Holy
ass.
1,000,000%.
100%. Whatever that woman wants, and I can get it, she's gonna have it.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
No
So
questions.
she comes, we get married in October, the end of October, and now while you're in this holding facility, every night they're coming and getting people and deporting them. Right. So every night they come in there like 7:00 with this list of names. So I was like, oh man, at some point my name's gonna get called. We applied for bond. I didn't get a bond because it was a flight risk, which I'm not trying to run. I got wife and kids here, you know. I think it was like almost halfway through November, our case goes to court and it gets dismissed because they never charged me with human trafficking. They charged me with overstaying my visa. So case gets dismissed. I called my wife up and I said, hey, they're coming to get me. They're letting me go in the morning. They're going to drop me off at the airport in DFW. Come get me. Oh, great. So the first two people I called when I got out, like the 15th or 16th of November, which I was thankful because Thanksgiving's around the corner. My birthday is around the corner. I think I messaged the boys and I said, hey, what's up? They're like, where have you been? And Connor had called my wife because like I just fallen off the face of the earth.
We thought
And
he
so he called
died.
April and she goes, where's Hugh at? And so, you know, she ran him down. And then the second call was to my guy that I was supposed to do all these November trips for. And I called him, he goes, dude, where have you been? Told him what's up. I'm like, hey, did you already book somebody else on those trips? He goes, yeah, but I'll just tell him don't show up because I'd rather you do it. So I literally rolled out of jail and the next day I was back in the air, you know, in the contract world. Just then I hit it hard for the next year and a half trying to recoup some of that money I lost.
That's crazy, bro.
That was my 7 or 8 weeks in jail.
Holy
Federal
shit.
federal lockup over the whole ordeal. And about a year later, I'm in Pecos, Texas, in this one restaurant in town, and I'm eating my taco, and I hear somebody goes, Mr. Wade? And I look up, and it was the HSI guy that ran the op. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm going back to jail now for sure. And he goes, how you been, man? I'm like, dude, I'm still flying. And he goes, man, it's good to see you. Good to see you doing good. You know, good luck, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it was for a second there, I was a little bit scared.
I don't
But they
blame
were
you.
about to come
I
back
would be
around
too.
two.
But
Round
Yeah.
two, baby.
so we got up all squared away, got my green card. I'm going to get my citizenship in March of next year.
Very nice.
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, aviation's been good to me. I've learned some hard lessons doing it and who not to fly for.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
If it seems suspicious, it probably is.
And yeah, because dude, you will not believe the 134.5s that go off in the 91.
Bro, I haven't heard that term in a while. That's
134 and a half.
Lot
It's
of
almost
that.
a 135.
Not quite.
No, a 134.5 is, so you can
A
dry
shady
lease an airplane.
135.
You can dry lease an airplane, right? As a
Yeah.
private individual. The owner of that airplane cannot provide, in very simple terms, there's way more to it than this, but they can't provide a crew and they can't provide a pilot. And you have to have a written agreement. It's called truthing leasing. You have a written agreement, you know, basically spelling out the terms of this lease agreement, whether it's for hours or it's a period of time. Well, a lot of these guys will say, hey, come fly my airplane. My buddy is using it. And then by the owner calling you, he's now providing the plane and the crew. Oftentimes he's providing fuel as well for it. And the FAA states that it becomes a illegal charter if there's compensation to the owner for both. Whether it's cash being changed hands, whether it's a favor being done through business partnerships.
Quid pro quo of some kind of compensation being.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
compensation. So a lot of these trips I take, I have to dig a lot about, hey, and it boils down to who has operational control of the airplane. If the owner is providing plane, fuel, and pilot, no go. You know, let me see the dry lease agreement.
Yep.
There's a lot of things you got to do before you launch off on these contract trips, especially if the guy that's calling you is letting somebody else use the airplane.
Yep.
That's a very, very slippery slopes. Good men have lost their license over that, and
Yeah.
not intentionally, just pure
Right.
ignorance.
Right.
So 134.5 is almost a charter.
Almost.
Yeah.
Not quite there.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. So that's something to look out for, because a lot of these owners don't know. It's your responsibility, the pilot, as a pilot, to make sure this flight's legal in all aspects of it. So,
I mean, when you get your
and it,
commercial license, they really kind of push you on very, very, now that I'm thinking about it, very baseline level of what is legal and what is not
yeah,
legal.
holding out, all that stuff.
Dude, I haven't
You know,
heard those terms in half a decade. You know what I
I
mean?
Yep.
live, dude. I
This
live
is
on
where,
those terms. I
Yeah.
live
that
on, in my
stuff is
world. Those are
that's where it
common.
applies.
Common carriage, private
Common
carriage.
carriage. Yep.
It's
Mhm.
like if let's say I want to dry lease my airplane to Connor. Well, and if the airplane weighs more than 12,500 pounds, I got to send a copy of that dry lease to the FAA 48 hours before the first flight, and I got to let them know 24 before the first flight to give them time to come inspect. So a lot of these like King Air 200s are prevalent. These dry leases. So it's just, if the owner is, if I rent my airplane to Connor, I can't force him to use a pilot of my preference, because then I have some form of operational control over that flight. So
Oh man, now you're going in the weeds. Yeah.
yeah,
See, yeah.
I can drag
Yeah.
you down. I
No,
can
this
write
is
a
good. This is
dissertation
good.
on
We
it.
haven't talked about this stuff. Please, you're
So
extremely good at it.
Connor, he has to provide his own pilot and insurance. And insurance is a big caveat. That pilot just has to meet his insurance minimums. So a lot of these guys say, hey, you can dry lease my airplane, use my pilot, boom, it's a charter. It's an illegal charter right off the get-go.
Yeah.
And the amount of dry leases you have executed on that airplane. So the FAA doesn't stipulate how many dry leases per tail number is illegal or is frowned upon, right? What's that 91, whatever, that catch-all reg the FAA has, where reckless and whatever.
Yeah.
I have a buddy
like-
right now.
Yeah.
He's in court with the FAA in civil court for $35.5 million is what the FAA is seeking in damages, because he had dry leases that were legal, notified the FAA, but the FAA came in and said, you have too many dry leases on this one airplane. So technically you're running either a fractional, and there's paperwork. If you want to start a fractional, there's paperwork for that. You're either doing an illegal fractional or an illegal charter, one of the two. But there's no reg that says you can only have one dry lease per airplane per 90-day period or 30-day period or whatever. There's nothing like that there. Because, and I think the FAA is doing a much better job of being pilot friendly. Like 10 years ago, the FAA was not friendly 10 years ago. But there's a lot of younger folks in the FAA now as inspectors that they'll give you a lot more. And the FAA is not my friend, but I will give them their credit and says they've done a much better job in the last 5 years of being pilot friendly and understanding of certain operations than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
The FAA has moved away from more punitive to more, hey, how can we help you be a better pilot? And I learned that when I was running this 135. I used to be, you mentioned FAA around me and I am gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to work with the FAA on a weekly basis. And I realized that, hey, these guys are actually here to help. Some of them are salty old men. But if you find common ground, your life becomes easy. Hey, man, what do you like to do outside of the feds? Man, I like fishing. Here comes my fishing pictures. Got them loaded.
Yep.
It's just,
Yeah.
But the FAA has done a great job of being more pilot friendly. And like, if you want guidance, like in my world, if I want guidance on an operation I'm not sure on, I can call up the FAA now and say, hey, this is my situation. And they won't tell you yes or no, but they will tell you where to find that yes or no answer. Because the FAA has this library of court opinions based on enforcement action that they have done in the last however many years. And they'll say, hey, look at court case, blah, blah, blah. And then they have their attorney will send you an opinion on whatever you're asking. So the FAA is really great now with getting you answers, helping you make decisions, and not being punitive while helping you. I just wish they'd get their medical stuff back together and get some of these pilots checked out and get their medicals back and stuff like that. But that might be too much to ask from the bureaucracy.
Yeah. You could actually search it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Legal
Yeah.
interpretations.
Yeah.
A big one.
Chief counsel interpretations.
Yeah.
Yep.
A big one that if you want to stir up a Facebook argument, just ask guys what they think about a 6155. Oh, dude. I'd do it for fun sometimes.
Bro.
61 is that
John's
the
like, what
SIC
is a
sign off?
6155?
Bro, this is
Yeah.
so far out of my sphere
So,
of I
The
don't
6155 is,
tell me, yeah.
let's
You
say,
want to talk? We're going to talk about boutique now.
yeah.
Is that what
So,
Go
so
ahead.
let's say I am, well, I'll give you a perfect example. My CJ1, single pilot airplane, right? And if I want to fly with an SIC, I either have SIC can legally log time. One, they have to be rated. And part of that, I'm not a CFI, I'm not an MEI, but I am
You're an
single pilot
ATP.
type in this airplane. I can issue, you don't even have to be an ATP anymore.
Oh,
I can issue an SIC endorsement that they will
Right.
take to the FSDO and get it under cert.
Yep.
Like a lot of these guys flying these older citations, single pilot, they're doing it on a waiver. They can't go international on that waiver. So they will give a random person that's multi-engine commercial rated 3 landings and 3 takeoffs. That's the basis of the 6155. You also have to give them a ground session on emergency procedures, systems, and all that stuff. So I've signed off a couple, right? There's certain days that I look at my operation and I say, I need an SIC for today. So I'll take an SIC and they can log SIC time on that, even if it's in a single pilot airplane, because the operation demands 2 pilots. Or you can have a PDP, pilot development program.
PDP. I've written a couple of
Got
those.
their butt handed to them.
Yep.
They no longer
Over the-
exist, right?
Heck yeah, they do. Go to Love
Do they?
Field. Yes,
They're
sir.
there.
We're still hiring.
Yeah. A lot of those guys didn't get their time, but yeah.
Yep.
Actually, when
So,
I went to a
I think Connor, his first Gulfstream flight was a 6155 in a Gulfstream. You can do a 6155 in
100%.
whatever.
I
As
had
long
seat
as-
fillers like that all the time when I was in the 135 world.
As long as the
Yeah.
left seat guy issuing endorsement is I think in the Gulfstream you had to have an ATP
You have to, and typed, yeah.
and typed, no passengers on board,
Right.
and you can go out, you can bang out 3 landings. The guy signs your logbook, and away you go as a qualified crew member, which really pisses the insurance company off because then you're not
doing that.
going to 6158. He did.
Yeah.
yeah.
The 91 world is great, but you can really get yourself in trouble if you don't understand
It's
the regs.
so
And so the
different.
FAA has this thing. It's the spirit. I hate it when it's the
The
spirit,
of the law. Oh my
Oh.
god. It's
I'm a black and white guy. Give me the law and I'll follow it.
you should
You're
tell
a
that
black
to
guy.
the contracts for POWA contracts, the CBAs. There's
I
a
am a
lot
black
of that
guy,
kind of
guys.
stuff. Yeah. That's crazy.
You're
No.
drinking Sonic? Look at you.
Yeah, dude.
The Texas boys.
Yeah, I gotta go. They gotta go fly my airplane here in a couple hours. Like, it's getting an oil change, and I gotta go to a return to service flight here in a little bit.
There you go.
Nice.
But dude, yeah, I'd love to come back. I can talk days and days on 91
Oh, yeah.
operations.
We're going to
because-
have you
and
back.
I think it's such an untapped aspect of aviation because a lot of these flight schools, they're 141, which I have a ethical problem with 141 schools. That just bugs me.
Yep. I'm in the same boat.
141s, all they're doing is training for the airlines.
Yep.
Which the airlines have to have a pipeline, so I get it. But a lot of these kids come out of the 141 program with the idea that I'll roll straight into the cockpit of a RJ.
Right.
Rarely does it happen that way. So they come out and they're like,
That's me.
there's nothing.
I
There's
rolled
nothing
into
for
an,
me to.
I rolled into an E-jet.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can give you
if
my
you had any
perspective
gap
on
in
it.
between there, you're like, dude, how do I make money? I don't want to be a CFI for 2,000 hours. And this side of, and I'm open book. Like, there's a flight school I work with down south of here that all their CFIs that have over 600 hours, It's an open invitation to come fly with me in the right seat of my airplane anytime, because I'm trying to let these kids know, hey, there's something out here besides just airline or net jets. Some of them, they'll do it. One of them did it with me. We did like a 14-hour 8-leg day, and he came back. He goes, "Going to the airline, this sucks." And I understood him. I'm like, dude, it does. And there's a few. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, you get to like plan all this by yourself. Nobody's telling you where to go, how to fly, how much fuel to take, which FBO to use, which airport to go to. I'm like, dude, I can untower dirt. I've landed on dirt, whatever. Some guys are built that way but the flight schools don't teach them that. They're like, hey, you're going to the airline. We're flying airline style patterns. We're flying airline style, procedures, which that's great and all, but you get into the left seat of a king air, that goes out the window. You know? Just there's a lot of things there's a lot out here besides the airline.
Totally.
And you can make a really good living doing it and be pretty damn happy at, the whole process of it.
I guess one thing I would point out with that is the reason why I went the trajectory I did was I had a very specific goal of what I want to achieve within my career. And that I think that if I would have broadened my horizons to, let's say I wanted to do something else, I don't think I would have went the route I did. But I think with the way I trained, it was 100% airline focus where we had um, SOPMs specifically when I made that transition to 121, it set me up for a lot of success. So I think today, I don't know how well it would be successful because a lot of those guys that were a couple years after me, they got really screwed because they're instructing and they're really
Yeah.
confined and they don't have that flexibility, like you're
And
saying, to do that.
to the airline's defense, I like to be fair. To the airline's defense, how long you been at the airline, John? Total.
Half a
In total.
decade for the 2 airlines I've been at.
So you're probably better financially set at, half a decade. And a contractor would have been financially set at half a decade in their career as a 91 guy.
Yeah.
You won't really see a profit till you hit about that 10-year mark.
Yeah.
8 to 10-year mark in the 91 world is where you can really I can go buy the boat I want, or I
Yeah.
can go buy the truck I want. So the airline does offer a quicker path to success, financial stability, than the 91 world does. And there's no denying it. I tell my right seaters all the time, look, if you're looking for financial success, stability, dude, hit the airline app page and just fill them all out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I just find my side of it more rewarding.
Totally.
And that's for me, that's what it boils down to is like, I'll get back after a long day. Like I just got a text just now. Hey, are you available to fly 8 a.m. back at 5, Dallas to Houston? And it's just like one of those things. I got to plan every aspect of this flight, make the calls to the FBO, figure out passenger loads, because I'll get a trip sheet, but there's no weights on it. So you can't really make an educated fuel guess till you get your payload. But I'll get back tomorrow. I'm like, dude, I did that. I figured it out. And to me, that's now become the most rewarding part when you go point A to point B and back. You're safe, airplanes were usable, passengers are happy. It's one of those things that I find incredibly rewarding where I'm like, okay, dude, I can do this.
100%. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people need that. I think a lot of people could not survive with the monotony of the airlines, and there's things that go on, but I mean, usually I fly
There's
with the
always
same
somebody
dudes
you can
now.
call at the airline to fix your problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the point I love about it, though, is
Yeah.
you just show up
True.
and it's like, okay, well, something's broken. I guess it's someone else's problem, and I'll be sitting here, and you let me know when it's ready, and we'll go.
Just don't squawk the coffee maker and go home day, because we'll have a lot of pissed
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
There's strategy involved.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. The coffee maker is broken an outstation and we're stuck here for a day, or
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I've got a Rolodex of people that I can call if I have a broken airplane anywhere in this country.
Your AOG list. Yep.
There's somebody there in the locale that I can call and I say, hey, I got a broken CJ3. And, they're depending on the pilot to diagnose the problem before the AOG gets there so they can show up with the right part. So like all these King Airs, these jets have what's it called? Trend monitoring, where you monitor these trends of your engines and all that. And it's like, if I open the book and today I'm like 20 degrees hotter, something's wrong than what
Yeah.
this airplane's been running the last, 6-7 months. Something's going wrong. My generator is running. It's just one of those things that something breaks, you already know. Like, this is what's broke. Call the AOG people. Hey, bring me a new generator. And, you're back on the road in a short time. But it's worse when you don't know how the airplane works. You know the systems, but you don't know how the systems break per se. So, hey, I'm not getting generator power on one side. Well, is it a broken generator or is it a broken relay? As a 91 operator, it's my job to diagnose most of that stuff. So when I call the AOG guy, I say, hey, bring me a starter gen relay and we're back on the road, or bring me a whole new unit. But there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, where you have to be a mechanic almost to interface with the AOG guys and your owners and all that. And, then the owner's like, why are you going to spend 20 grand on a generator? Well, airplane's not going to fly without it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that in my world. I'm the guy you call, but sometimes I do envy you 121 guys. I'm like, dude, I just show up. If it's broke, peace. Catch you tomorrow.
I'll give you an example really quick before we go. This was literally 2 days or 3 days ago. I was down in Montego Bay, and the company had 186 bags being loaded. And for the company that I fly for, that's a lot. And it was fully loaded 320neo airplane. And the operation basically said, hey, long story short, they came in and did not give us the correct information and said, how many bags can you take less fuel? We called the company. They said, no, you need this fuel because you need an alternate back in Atlanta. And we're like, okay, well, this is the amount of fuel. And they're like, okay, well, how many bags do we need to take off? We ran the numbers, gave the numbers to them, took off the bags, started the procedure to take off the bags, let our dispatcher know. And the company's like, what the hell are you doing? Do not take any bags off. And we're like, well, that they asked us to do that. And so, pilots usually like to solve the problem, right? Just like how you're
Yeah.
saying, we started doing something, not even we're just doing what the station told us to do, thinking the company told them to do that. Well, international, they do things kind of differently. And it took us, we literally were within 10 seconds of being illegal to operate that flight due to timing. And it would cause all these errors and issues going on. And so it goes to kind of show you, like what Hugh was saying, is in the airlines, they do not want you to do anything outside of the purview of just being the operation. They don't want you to solve the problem. At least at the airline I'm at, they don't solve the problem. We will solve the problem. And that's not your call to make. So it is very different. And like right when we started to act kind of like a 91 person or like a corporate guy, it went up in flames because the station gave us the wrong info and the company was not in the loop of what was going on. So that's what I was saying. The airline stuff is they pay you to just operate. That's all they want you to do, and everything else is taken care of. So it's just very fascinating to hear probably how you would have handled that, given your experience, versus the way
Yeah.
an airline would want you to handle it. And
Yeah, I
so
would
it's
have
really
dumped
good learning
bags.
experience.
Or if you want the bags to come, we're stopping fuel somewhere. Take your poison.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
You do it from the hip and on the fly.
yeah. Connor, we lost you.
Yeah, I got dumped off somewhere, but
It's all good.
He's
yeah,
lying. He was pouring himself a drink. Don't let him lie to you.
Was it? Was it wild turkey?
some wild turkey. Yeah, I got some whiskey.
Bullet. He's drinking Bullet.
Oh,
Bullet rye.
it's Boulier, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, guys that drink
No.
Bullet go home and punch their wives. I know that
Like,
for a
Oh,
fact.
jeez.
Same as the white monsters.
White monsters.
White monsters.
Yeah, domestic abusers.
All right.
Oh,
I think that's a good
goodness.
place to wrap it up.
I
before we
think
go
that's a
any
great
further.
place to
Boy.
awesome. Hugh. Thanks for coming on. Connor,
No
thanks for
problem.
bringing Hugh on. This has been
course.
so fun. This is a topic we have not covered in depth yet, so I really appreciate it. everybody listening, we really appreciate you. We're excited about 2026. Got some good episodes coming up here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube, social medias. That really helps us out. Since we haven't monetized any of this, that just helps us grow the channels, which which would be much appreciated. And you can find us at Autopilot on podcast, all the socials, got the website and the email. And yeah, we appreciate you guys coming on, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Thanks again.
See you
Au
guys.
Perfect.
revoir.